When the National Investigation Agency completed their probe report and submitted to court yesterday, there were still many loose ends to tie up. But there were 13 men who were watching developments very closely, and for them, the Malegaon charge sheet comes as a new lifeline. Muslim young men who spent precious years of their lives in jail. Two of them were already in jail when the attack took place, which is why their lawyers said that it just couldn't be possible that they were involved in the Malegaon attack as well. But even though since 2006, no evidence was found against them, 9 of them stayed in jail for years, 5 years. For them, the charge sheet blaming Hindu extremists comes as a testimony of their innocence. However, even the declaration of that has been done indirectly. NIA simply says no evidence has been found against these men. On the Buck Stops here tonight, we ask, will this case establish once and for all that the Muslim community are easy scapegoats for investigating agencies? And will right-wing terror change the way these agencies work? We have a special panel joining us on that in just a bit, including one of the men, a doctor from Malegaon who spent 5 years in jail. Also on the show, director Kalpana Lajmi will be joining us to talk about why they have organized a gay film festival in Mumbai that started today. Just what it is, what the films are, we'll be talking about that. But first, let's just go across to NDTV's Sudhir Ranjan Sen, who's been reporting on that Malegaon case. Sudhir, how do the police explain now, and how is the Ministry of Home Affairs explaining? Are they considering a compensation package for all the people who were jailed wrongly?
Well, about a compensation package, we haven't heard anything so far, Sunetra. But there have been, there have been processes that the ministry is trying to set up, whereby, they are going from court to court, case to case, state by state, whereby they are saying that, hurry up the investigations. And in case you think that there are Muslim youth who have been picked up, there is nothing against them, no evidence have been brought up, they must be allowed to go. And the process of giving them a clean chit must start. This process has started. We haven't yet, seen any of that, taking on the ground, any action being taken. But yes, letters have been written to the states. There is a discussion that's on. On the bigger question, this is not only the Malegaon question, Sunetra. You more or less, if you look at the Makkah Masjid attack, if you look at the Ajmer Dargah attack, if you look at the Samjhauta attack, there is an entire list that is there. Of young Muslim boys who have been picked up after the terror strikes, put behind bars, and after, say, 10 years, 15 years down the line, they have been let go. In this case, at least you have the NIA, which is investigated and have said, well, these are the boys who are not involved, there's somebody else. Vis-a-vis the question of whether or not, the police officers who are involved in such, because these are false cases, these boys are being implicated. Vis-a-vis whether or not the ministry is going to come up with something, to take action against them, there is no clear indication, although the demand is growing.
Also, Sudhir, just quickly, there in the charge sheet, it doesn't say anything very specifically to say that they have been cleared. It just says, just to clarify, it just says that there's nothing being found against them.
Well, Sunita, this is legalese that is playing, that the NIA or the government is, taking resort to. They won't, by saying that nothing has been found against them, it means that the cases against them are false. The cases against them that were, charges against them are completely false, and the investigations very badly botched up. Being a government agency, and that too of the center, the understanding that we get is they don't want to ruffle the feathers too much, because in this case it's the Bombay police, it's the Bombay ATS. Mind you, the Bombay ATS quote unquote is supposed to be, an elite wing of the Bombay police, which is entrusted with many investigations that the police cannot handle. A similar thing we have seen in the Liaquat Shah case, in which a person who had crossed over to POK in the early 90s to train as a militant, came back to India under the surrender policy. The Delhi police again picked him up and said he was a terrorist. Not only that, they seized weapons, they seized arms. But the NIA again, in the case we have seen, has said that there is no evidence to link him up to any terror attack. They've stopped short of that. So the only explanation we have is that they don't want to ruffle feathers unnecessarily, and yet at the same point of time give out the truth. Sunita.
Okay, Sudhir Ranjan Sen there reporting from the capital. But before we move to our guest this evening, let's just take a look at what the NIA found about that 2006 attack, a case that was first probed by the anti-terror squad of Maharashtra. Then, when many protested about the kind of probe that was taking place, it was handed over to the CBI. And then finally, it was handed over to the NIA. 3 agencies starting a case from scratch has meant that it has taken a very, very long time, which took a very heavy toll, obviously, on all those who were falsely implicated.
A semblance of normalcy for Noor ul Huda. Noor spent 5.5 years in jail, accused wrongly by the Maharashtra ATS and CBI of planting a bomb outside a mosque that killed 38 people in his hometown of Malegaon in 2006. The tag of a criminal he hopes will be dropped for good. The NIA's charge sheet in the 2006 case makes no mention of his name or that of other 6 Muslim youth arrested then, said to be affiliated to the banned Simi.
सबसे अहम चीज़ हमारे लिए अभी क्लीन चिट है। हमको केस से डिस्चार्ज दिया जाए, हमारी मांग है ये।
Echoing his words, Rais Ahmed Rajab, enjoying small pleasures denied whilst in jail. Rais then accused of planning the attack.
1.5 साल से हम कोर्ट में जा रहे हैं, हर तारीख अटेंड कर रहे हैं और यहाँ पर हर हफ्ते हम हाजिरी लगा रहे हैं। ये एक हमारे लिए अभी भी समझ लो मुसीबत है हमारे लिए, इसलिए हमें इस सब चीज़ों से छुटकारा मिलना चाहिए।
The NIA's charge sheet holds 4 right-wing Hindu extremists responsible for the Malegaon blasts. The blasts, it says, a revenge attack planned by men from Indore for attacks on Hindu temples and the Shramjeevi Express. NIA's investigation, a shift from that of the Maharashtra ATS and CBI that held Muslim youth as the perpetrators and conspirators of the violence. The charge sheet silent on the role of Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur and Lieutenant Colonel Purohit arrested for the 2008 Malegaon blasts. Though sources at NIA say it is not a clean chit. Evidence showed up even against Asim Anand, whose confession exposed the role of right-wing Hindu terror in the attack. Pragya Thakur and Lieutenant Colonel Purohit still in jail for the 2008 Malegaon blasts and Samjhauta Express blast. Colonel Purohit's wife though denies they have any role.
I'm surprised that my husband's name has ever even come up in this case, because he was never ever connected to 2006, and even after investigating, even after the NIA or the CBI have already investigated, the ATS have already investigated, they've never found any connection with 2006.
With Imtiaz Jalil in Pune, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
So is this case going to change the perception, or does it just show one instance of how wrong our investigating agencies get it in some of these cases where they wrongfully implicate people from the minority community? Our guests, we have Jayant Umranikar, he's the former DGP of Maharashtra. We also have Majid Memon, senior advocate. In Delhi studio, we have KKN Daruwala. He's a former senior officer of RNAW and also now a current member of the National Minorities Commission. And we have also joining us Manisha Sethi, who's the president of the Jamia Teachers Solidarity Association and someone who's worked on a book that looked at all the people that were falsely implicated by the special cell of Delhi police. Now, if I can start with you, Mr. Umranikar, do you think the ATS and the CBI now owe an apology to all these men who were falsely implicated?
Well, I will say that this is a very embarrassing day for investigating agencies in India. We have ATS, which is supposed to be an elite unit. They were the ones who went to the spot first. They were the ones who found evidence. There were confessional statements. There was an approver. There was scientific evidence linking these people. On that basis, they filed a charge sheet. Then the case was handed over to CBI. The CBI filed a supplementary charge sheet. And remember, during all this process, right from the arrest of the accused, the evidence goes before the court. When they grant remand, police remand or magisterial custody, the evidence is considered, and if prima facie there is evidence against the suspects or the accused, then only the court is supposed to grant police remand.
Yes.
Now all this has happened, then after that 5 years later everything changes, a third agency enters and starts investigation. There is another confession which is later on retracted. On that basis you arrest another set of people in 2011 and collect evidence, and now this NIA agency has filed a charge sheet, and they have said that they will file probably a supplementary charge sheet after some time when they have more evidence against others.
Yes.
Maybe the supplementary charge sheet will come after the election when they know which government is going to be in power. All this raises a very, I would say, bad odor.
Sir, can I?
And I
sir,
feel
just,
that
I
all
just want to
investigating
clarify.
agencies have to.
I just want to clarify. Basically, are you doubting this charge sheet and saying, well, the previous agencies had a different version, and so this agency has a different version, which is the NIA, and well, it's up to all of us now to be doubtful about all of them, and so you're saying this one may not be the final word?
I would just, yeah, exactly. I would like to just say, put on record the facts. These are the facts. You know, what are the kind of evidences you gather after the crime? There is spot panchanama. There is
Mr.
recovery
Umranikar, I just
panchanama.
want to, but sir,
there is
isn't it-
scientific evidence. Yeah.
But whose job is it? It's obviously the court's job to accept some evidence or not. And if the court there is now accepting this charge sheet, it also took cognizance, you're right, of the previous charge sheet which implicated all of them. Now, completely different with new information they're saying. But obviously, if we go by the new charge sheet of the NIA, a central agency formed after 2008 terror attack, if we go by them, then it seems that the entire investigation done by CBI and the entire kind of confession statements and backup statements, they seem to be concocted. So, if we go by the fact that if NIA's investigation is correct because it has a Seemanand statement, which you're right, he then went back on, then shouldn't, if we just assume that this is the correct one, is there any mechanism by which in the police people go back to the original agency and ask them questions? Does anyone question them and ask, how is it that you arrived at this?
See, technically, if you consider a charge sheet is filed by an investigating agency on behalf of the government. So, the first charge sheet was also filed by the government. That was accepted by the court. Then the government withdrew the charge sheet. Now again a charge sheet has been filed by the government and by NIA on behalf of the government.
Okay, but sir,
So
I
if
think
you understand, yes,
if we
it
just
seems,
I know you're bringing up complex issues, but just to simplify it for our viewers, if I can just point out, when I spoke to the officers, from the beginning, they had no evidence against these young people. I'll just get people who have worked on this case to also comment on it, who know, who are familiar with it. But from the beginning, they didn't have any kind of investigation. And even now, all they kept saying is, we can't clear them, but no one had any solid evidence that they produced in court. Majid Memon, coming here, what would you like to say about what the DGP, the former DGP, Mr. Umranikar, is saying, and what the agencies have done in this case?
See, with highest respect, I entirely disagree with what my friend Mr. Umar Aligar has said.
Absolutely.
Now, does he mean to say that the first investigators were truthfully presenting the case and that the latest investigation is probably
I think he's just raising doubts about all of them and saying you can't buy any of them.
Probably he is saying that way. No, let me make it very sure. Now, it is not merely, as I have heard just now, you or somebody saying now, that well, they should be asked to apologize, or those who have suffered 5 years or 7 years in custody should be considered eligible for compensation. This does not serve the cause of justice, mind you. This is travesty of justice. This is something gross miscarriage of justice, doing great disservice to our criminal justice system. Now please understand that in sensitive matters like this, whether they are blast cases, whether they are other communal rights cases, or etc., you see, the police, unfortunately, with highest respect to some honest officers, which may be there, I don't say that all police officers are dishonest or incompetent, but then there are certain officers who have preconceived notions, and they start from a point, the investigation, they start from a point, that point itself is based on erroneous assumptions, and then they have to justify what they begin from, and then build up a case based upon confession alone. Now this is precisely what has happened in the case of these boys, who have been the sufferers at the hands of absolutely malafide investigation. Otherwise, you see, the truth cannot have different faces.
And you're saying
with regard to one incident, there can't be different absolutely diagonally opposite views. Now it is discovered that there are some right-wing Hindus against whom there is substantial evidence which will stand in the court of law. Now this officer says that, well, the government withdrew that probably under some pressure or under some extra legal consideration. Absolutely nobody is going to take that theory at all.
Mr. Umranikar, you just want to make a point. After that, I want to bring in K.K. Daruwala here.
No, I just want to mention one thing. If you do not want to accept confessions, then probably even the NIA case will get damaged. So you can't have two yardsticks and you can't have two sets of confessions, one considered to be better than the other.